Alora had always believed she understood risk. Growing up in Atlanta, she learned early how to read rooms, measure silence, and hold her head high even when the world tried to shrink her. But nothing, not ambition, not prayer, not logic, prepared her for signing her name beneath the Kang family seal. The contract was 12 pages long.
And it's ours
Marriage,
to keep.
3 years, public partnership, absolute discretion, and one line that made her pulse jump. The wife shall relocate immediately to Seoul, Republic of Korea. She signed anyway, because this wasn't just about marriage. It was about survival. Expansion. Legacy. The Albright Foundation needed funding. Her mother's medical debts were rising. And the Kang conglomerate did not make offers twice. The private jet was quieter than she expected. Too quiet. The leather seats were cream. The air carried the faint scent of cedar and expensive cologne. She sat alone for most of the flight, staring out at the clouds while her mind replayed the dossier she had memoized. Ji-hoon Kang, elder twin by 7 minutes. MBA from Stanford. Ruthless negotiator. Public face of Kang Holdings. Ji-tae Kang, younger twin. Former military intelligence. Silent partner. Rarely photographed. Together, they controlled shipping, technology, finance, and something the dossier only referred to as private security operations. Everyone in Seoul knew what that meant. Mafia. Her fingers tightened around the crystal glass of sparkling water. You wanted power, Alora. Well, here it is. Night had already swallowed the city when the jet landed. Seoul glittered like a field of diamonds beneath black silk. The Han River reflected neon lights in trembling streaks of gold and electric blue. The car waiting for her was matte black. No logos. No plates. Inside, the driver never spoke. The Kang estate rose from a private hillside overlooking the river, modern architecture carved in glass and steel, surrounded by stone walls that felt less decorative and more defensive. The gates opened silently, and closed just as silently behind her. There was no turning back now. She expected to meet one husband at a time. Instead, both were waiting in the grand foyer. The ceiling towered 3 stories high, chandeliers cascading like frozen rain. Marble floors reflected her silhouette as she stepped inside, heels clicking with steady confidence she did not entirely feel. They stood side by side. Identical in face. Different in presence. Ji-hoon wore a tailored charcoal suit, hands casually in his pockets, expression sharp and assessing, like he was already calculating her market value. Ji-tae stood slightly behind him, sleeves rolled to reveal strong forearms, posture relaxed but coiled. His gaze didn't scan her. It studied her. The silence stretched. Alora lifted her chin first. Good evening. Ji-hoon's lips curved faintly. Your Korean is excellent. I prepare thoroughly. His eyes gleamed. Approval. Ji-tae stepped forward, stopping just close enough for her to feel the warmth radiating from him. You're not shaking, he observed quietly. She met his gaze. Should I be? A pause. Something unspoken passed between the twins. Ji-hoon walked in a slow circle around her, not touching, just observing. The evaluation was thorough, but not crude. You understand this marriage is not romantic, he said. I understand it's strategic. Ji-tae's voice was softer. And dangerous. Her heart skipped, but her expression remained composed. I've never been afraid of danger. Ji-hoon stopped in front of her again. That may change. A staff member approached with a velvet box. Inside were 2 rings. One bore the Kang crest, a stylized dragon etched in platinum. The other was simple. Elegant. A diamond that caught the chandelier light and fractured it into 1,000 sparks. Ji-hoon took the crested ring first. For the world, he said. Ji-tae lifted the diamond band. For us. Her breath faltered. They slid the rings onto her finger together. The weight surprised her. Not physically. Symbolically. She was no longer Alora Albright. She was Mrs. Kang. Wife to 2 of the most powerful men in South Korea. After the staff retreated, the atmosphere shifted. More intimate. More electric. Ji-hoon tilted his head slightly. Do you regret it yet? It's been 20 minutes, she replied evenly. Ji-tae's gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. You'll be watched constantly, he said. Protected. Followed. Controlled, she challenged. A faint smile touched Ji-hoon's mouth. Protected. There it was again, that word. She wasn't naive. Protection from men like them came with conditions. Ji-Tai stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. If you ever feel unsafe, he murmured, you tell us first. Not security. Not the press. Us. The intensity in his eyes unsettled her, not because it felt threatening, but because it felt sincere. For a brief second, she saw something beneath the steel exterior. Possessiveness. Not cruelty. Ji-hoon offered his arm. Your room is prepared. My room? She asked carefully. For now, he answered smoothly. Ji-Tai added, we don't rush what belongs to us. The statement should have made her recoil. Instead, heat flickered low in her stomach, confusing and unwelcome. As they escorted her up the grand staircase, Seoul glittering beyond the glass walls, a realization settled deep in her chest. This wasn't just a marriage of convenience. It was a negotiation of power. And she had just stepped onto a chessboard where every piece moved strategically, including her. At the top of the stairs, Ji-hoon paused. One last question, Alora. She turned. Why did you really accept? The truth hovered on her tongue. Because I refuse to be small. Because I want the world. Because I want to stand where only men like you stand. Instead, she smiled slowly. Because I don't lose. For the first time, both twins smiled the same way. Predatory. Impressed. Intrigued. Ji-Tai opened the door to her suite. Welcome to Seoul, he said softly. And welcome, Ji-hoon added, his voice lowering just a fraction. To our world. The door closed behind her. And outside, the gates remained locked. Welcome to a place where love whispers, hearts collide, and destiny writes its own story. If you enjoy emotional romance stories that stay with you long after the video ends, like, subscribe, and become part of our story. By the second week, Alora understood one thing clearly. The Kang twins never disagreed in public. Not once. Boardrooms fell silent when they entered. Executives adjusted posture. Assistants lowered their eyes. The air itself seemed to sharpen. But the true power wasn't in their presence. It was in their synchronization. Ji-hoon spoke. Ji-Tai finished. Ji-Tai watched. Ji-hoon acted. It was seamless. Unsettling. Magnetic. And now, that precision had turned toward her. Her first official appearance as Mrs. Kang was a corporate charity gala at the Schiller Hotel. The stylists dressed her in deep emerald silk that glowed against her dark skin. Diamond earrings framed her face. Her hair fell in soft waves over her shoulders, deliberate, elegant, unforgettable. When she entered on Ji-hoon's arm, cameras flashed. Whispers followed. She's foreign. She's stunning. Why her? Ji-Tai walked half a step behind them, his eyes scanning every movement in the room. Not possessive. Protective. The distinction mattered. Ji-hoon leaned slightly toward her as reporters called their names. Smile, he murmured. She did. Not because he told her to, but because she knew how to perform. When a reporter asked, Mrs. Kang, how does it feel marrying into such influence so suddenly? Alora's voice was smooth silk. I didn't marry influence, she said calmly. I married vision. The room stilled. Ji-hoon's grip on her arm tightened almost imperceptibly. Ji-Tai's mouth curved faintly. She had passed the first test. Later that night, the three of them sat in the estate's private dining hall. Long black table. Minimalist decor. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflecting the city lights. No staff. Just them. Alora noticed something subtle. Ji-hoon poured her wine without asking. Ji-Tai moved her chair in slightly when she sat today. Unspoken coordination. You handled the press well, Ji-hoon said, cutting into his steak. I don't like being underestimated, she replied. Ji-Tai's gaze lifted to her. You won't be. The weight in his tone made her pulse quicken. There was something about the way he said it, not as reassurance. As a promise. The conversation shifted unexpectedly. Ji-hoon set down his glass. There's something we haven't discussed. Alora stilled internally but kept her expression neutral. Which is? Ji-Tai didn't break eye contact. You have no past relationships. It wasn't phrased as a question. It was a fact pulled from the background investigation. Her jaw tightened slightly. Is that a problem? Ji-hoon's gaze darkened, not judgmental. Curious. It makes things significant. Silence wrapped around them. Ji-Tai spoke quietly. You've never given yourself to anyone. Heat crept up her neck, but she held steady. No. Ji-hoon leaned back in his chair, studying her like she was a rare acquisition. You understand we don't share easily. Her brows lifted. Yet you share me. A flicker of surprise crossed Ji-tae's face. Ji-hoon's lips curved slowly. We don't share what's ours with outsiders. The message was clear. Within their world, there were no rivals. No jealousy between them. Only unity. But the idea of another man touching her? Unacceptable. Her stomach fluttered, not from fear. From the intensity of being wanted that completely. Over the following weeks, Alora began to observe their patterns. Ji-hoon was daylight, public, strategic, charismatic. Ji-tae was midnight, silent, watchful, unpredictable. Ji-hoon challenged her intellect during breakfast meetings. Ji-tae trained with her in the estate's private gym at night. Yes, trained. You should know how to defend yourself, Ji-tae said one evening, handing her padded gloves. You think I'm fragile? She asked. He stepped closer. I think you're valuable. He corrected her stance gently, hands on her waist, guiding her balance. The proximity stole her breath. He noticed, but didn't step back. Again, he instructed. She threw a punch. Stronger this time. His approval was subtle, a nod, a softer gaze. Across the room, Ji-hoon leaned against the wall, watching. Not threatened. Interested. One night, rain hammered against the glass walls of the estate. Alora stood alone on the balcony, silk robe wrapped around her. Seoul shimmered below like a restless dream. She sensed him before she heard him. Ji-hoon. You're thinking too much, he said quietly. She didn't turn. I married two powerful men. I think that earns me reflection. He stepped beside her. Are you unhappy? The question surprised her. She studied him carefully. No, she admitted. Ji-tae appeared moments later, as if summoned by instinct. The twins stood on either side of her. A silent triangle. You're adjusting faster than we expected, Ji-tae said. I adapt, she replied. Ji-hoon's voice lowered. Be careful. Of what? He met her eyes directly. Of how quickly you're becoming indispensable. Her heart skipped. Because she realized something terrifying. They weren't just evaluating her anymore. They were growing attached. An attachment makes powerful men dangerous. A week later, at a high-profile investor dinner, an older executive made a careless remark. Exotic choice, he muttered under his breath. Alora heard it. So did Ji-tae. The temperature of the room shifted instantly. Ji-hoon smiled politely, but his eyes turned cold. Repeat that, Ji-tae said softly. The executive swallowed. I meant, unique. Ji-hoon's voice remained smooth. My wife's presence elevates this table. Ji-tae added quietly. And disrespect lowers it. The investor apologized. Publicly. Immediately. Later that night, as they drove home, Alora stared out the window. You didn't have to do that, she said. Ji-hoon answered first. Yes, we did. Ji-tae's hand brushed hers in the dark. No one speaks about you like that. There it was again. That fierce unity. Not ego. Not ownership alone. Defense. Her chest tightened. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't fighting alone. As she prepared for bed that night, her reflection in the mirror looked different. Stronger. Sharper. Desired. The twins didn't see her as decoration. They saw her as power. And she was beginning to understand the real rule of two. It wasn't about sharing. It wasn't about dominance. It was about alignment. If one twin wanted something, the other ensured it happened. If one was threatened, the other destroyed the threat. And now, both wanted her. From down the hall, she heard footsteps. 2 sets. Perfectly in sync. Her pulse quickened. Because deep down, Alora realized something undeniable. The most dangerous thing about marrying the Kang twins wasn't their empire. It was the fact that she was starting to want them just as much. The first threat didn't come with a gun. It came with a smile. The charity gala was held at the Signal Tower, crystal chandeliers, string quartet, political heirs and corporate predators dressed in silk and diamonds. Alora wore black that night. Not soft black. Commanding black. The gown clung to her frame like it understood power. Her dark skin glowed under the lights, her diamond ring catching flashes from cameras as she rested her hand lightly on Ji-hoon's arm. Ji-tae walked half a step behind as usual. Watching. Calculating. Memoizing exits. The Kang twins owned a room without raising their voices. But tonight, something felt off. Alora sensed it the moment they entered. Eyes lingered too long. Whispers curved too sharp. And then he approached. Chairman Park. Older. Political. Connected to a rival shipping network rumored to be laundering money through offshore accounts. He bowed slightly. Mrs. Kang, he greeted smoothly. You are unexpected. Alora smiled politely. I hope that means unforgettable. A few people nearby chuckled. Chairman Park's gaze slid over her, not admiring. Assessing. Foreign influence can be disruptive, he continued. Especially in traditional empires. The insult was quiet. Precise. Intentional. Ji-hoon's expression did not change. Ji-tae's did. It was subtle, a stillness so complete it felt violent. Alora answered before either twin could. Evolution is always disruptive, she said calmly. That's how empires survive. The air shifted. Chairman Park's smile faltered. Ji-hoon's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around her hand. Ji-tae stepped closer. Enjoy your evening, Ji-tae said softly. It wasn't a suggestion. It was dismissal. The doors of the black sedan closed with a heavy thud. Silence filled the interior. Seoul's neon lights streaked across the windows like restless fire. Alora finally exhaled. He wanted a reaction. He got one, Ji-hoon replied coolly. She turned. You didn't react. Ji-tae's voice came from the shadowed seat beside her. We don't react publicly. That tone. Measured. Cold. Final. Her stomach tightened. What does that mean? She asked. Neither answered. And somehow, that was worse. By morning, Chairman Park's name was trending, not in gossip columns. In financial news. His company's stock had plummeted overnight. Investigations launched. Accounts frozen. Political allies suddenly distancing themselves. By afternoon, he had resigned for personal reasons. By evening, he had vanished from public view entirely. Alora sat in the estate's private office, staring at the news on the large screen. She didn't need confirmation. She already knew. The door opened. Ji-hoon entered first, adjusting his cufflinks. Ji-tae followed, quiet as a shadow. You did this, she said. Ji-hoon tilted his head slightly. He insulted you. That doesn't ruin a man's empire overnight. Ji-tae stepped forward. It does if we decide it does. The truth landed heavy in her chest. They hadn't raised their voices. Hadn't threatened him publicly. They simply erased him. Was that necessary? She asked quietly. Ji-hoon approached her slowly. No one humiliates what belongs to us. There it was again. Belongs. She stood. I'm not a possession. Silence. Dangerous silence. Ji-tae closed the distance between them, not aggressively. Intimately. His voice dropped. You are not an object. His eyes held hers, intense, unblinking. You are under our protection. Ji-hoon added. And protection, in our world, is absolute. She walked to the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the Han River. The city looked peaceful. Deceptively so. People are afraid of you, she said softly. Yes, Ji-hoon replied. Should I be? Ji-tae moved to stand beside her. His shoulder nearly brushed hers. Are you? She searched herself for the answer. She should have been. They dismantled a powerful man in less than 24 hours. They spoke about power like oxygen. They operated without hesitation. But what she felt wasn't fear. It was something more complicated. Because when Chairman Park looked at her like she didn't belong, the twins hadn't hesitated. They hadn't debated. They chose her. Without question. Without delay. I don't like violence, she admitted. Ji-hoon's reflection in the glass met hers. Neither do we. Ji-tae's jaw tightened slightly. But we tolerate disrespect even less. That night, as rain tapped softly against the glass walls of the estate, Ji-hoon knocked on her suite door. Alora opened it cautiously. He stepped inside alone. No guards, she asked. They are outside. He walked slowly through her room, hands in pockets. You need to understand something. She crossed her arms. Then explain it. His eyes softened, just slightly. Our world is not forgiving. People test boundaries. They look for weakness. And I'm weakness. His gaze sharpened. Your leverage. The word stung. Before she could respond, Jitai entered quietly behind her. Not invited. Not denied. Jitai's voice was low. And leverage must be untouchable. Alora's pulse pounded. You destroyed him for words. Jihoon stepped closer. We destroyed him for daring to measure your worth. Jitai's fingers brushed lightly against her wrist, grounding, steady. If anyone ever tries more than words. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. The promise hung in the air like smoke. For the first time since arriving in Seoul, Alora saw past the empire. Past the suits. Past the wealth. Past the intimidation. She saw two men who had built their world from brutality and were now trying to build something gentler around her. It wasn't softness. It was control redirected. Toward her safety. Toward her dignity. Jihoon studied her expression carefully. Are you regretting this? She lifted her chin. No. Jitai's thumb traced a slow line across her knuckles. Barely there. You don't scare easily, he murmured. She met his gaze. I don't break easily either. A faint smile tugged at Jihoon's lips. Good. Because in that moment, something shifted again. This wasn't just protection. It was loyalty. And loyalty in the Mafia world was sacred. Dangerous. Unbreakable. As they stepped away from her door later that night, Alora realized something chilling and powerful at the same time. The Kang twins didn't just eliminate threats. They made examples. And anyone who dared test her place beside them would learn the meaning of a warning. The storm started just after midnight. Lightning split the sky over Seoul, illuminating the Kang estate in violent flashes of white. Alora hadn't been able to sleep. Not after the Chairman Park incident. Not after the way the twins had looked at her lately. Like she wasn't fragile. But inevitable. She stood in the hallway outside her suite, barefoot, silk robe loose around her shoulders. The estate was quiet, staff dismissed early because of the weather. Thunder rolled. And then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Her breath hitched, not in fear. In awareness. Because she could feel it. They were awake too. Footsteps echoed at opposite ends of the hallway. Perfectly synchronized. The emergency lights glowed dim red along the walls, casting shadows that made everything feel intimate, dangerous. Jihoon appeared first from the left corridor, sleeves rolled, hair slightly disheveled like he had run a hand through it in frustration. Jitai emerged from the opposite side, black t-shirt clinging to his frame, eyes darker than the storm outside. And suddenly, she was between them. No escape route. No distance. Just heat. You shouldn't wander alone in the dark, Jihoon said quietly. Her chin lifted. I wasn't wondering. Lightning flashed again, illuminating all three of them in sharp white light. Jitai's gaze traced the line of her collarbone where the robe had slipped slightly. You're restless, he observed. So are you. Thunder cracked loudly enough to shake the windows. For weeks they had circled her. Guarded her. Tested her. Protected her. Never crossing the line. Never touching beyond what was necessary. The restraint had become unbearable. Jihoon stepped closer. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something rich and warm with a sharp edge beneath it. You know what you're doing, he murmured. Her pulse quickened. What am I doing? Jitai moved behind her slowly, not touching yet, but the space between them vanished. You're standing between two men who have shown you patience, Jitai said softly. And, she whispered. Lightning again. This time closer. The lights flickered completely out. Darkness. Then emergency backup lighting returned, dimmer now. More intimate. Jihoon's fingers gently tilted her chin upward. Not forceful. Deliberate. You're testing how long that patience lasts. Her breath trembled, but her eyes never left his. Maybe I want to know. Silence. Heavy. Charged. Jitai's hand hovered at her waist, not claiming. Waiting. The power shifted in that moment. Not theirs. Hers. Because they were not advancing. They were waiting. For her. Thunder roared again. Alora swallowed. You both look at me like I'm something fragile, she said quietly. Jihoon's voice lowered. We look at you like you matter. Jitai's breath brushed her ear. We've been careful. Why? She asked. Jihoon answered. Because you've never done this before. The truth hung between them. Her heart pounded, not from innocence. From anticipation. I don't need to be handled like glass, she said. Ji-Tai's fingers finally touched her waist. Warm. Steady. Electric. You're not glass. Ji-hoon leaned closer, his lips hovering near her temple but not touching. You're fire. Her body reacted before her mind did. A tremor. A soft inhale. They both noticed. Ji-Tai's grip tightened just slightly, protective, not possessive. Ji-hoon's voice dropped to a whisper. Say it. Her throat felt dry. Say what? That you want this. There it was. No force. No assumption. No dominance without permission. The most feared men in Seoul were asking. Waiting. The storm outside felt quieter than the storm inside her. She turned slightly, just enough that Ji-Tai's chest brushed her back. Heat spread instantly through her. Then she looked at Ji-hoon. And stepped closer. I want this, she said softly. Lightning cracked so bright it illuminated their faces like a photograph. Ji-Tai exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. Ji-hoon's restraint finally fractured. But not into aggression. Into reverence. Ji-hoon's lips brushed her forehead first. Not her mouth. Her forehead. Slow. Intentional. Ji-Tai's hand slid up her arm, fingers threading gently with hers. The touch was unhurried. Almost sacred. We don't rush what belongs to us, Ji-hoon murmured again. Alora met his gaze. I'm not something to own. Ji-Tai's voice was steady behind her. No. His lips grazed her shoulder lightly. You're someone to protect. The difference mattered. She turned fully then, facing them both. And for the first time, she saw something unexpected in their eyes. Not hunger. Not dominance. Vulnerability. Because wanting her meant risking weakness. And powerful men did not risk easily. Alora lifted her hand and placed it flat against Ji-hoon's chest. His heartbeat was fast. She turned and placed her other hand against Ji-Tai's chest. Same rhythm. Perfectly matched. You're both shaking, she whispered. Ji-hoon smirked faintly. We're controlling it. She smiled slowly. Maybe stop. Ji-Tai moved first this time, gently guiding her toward her suite door. Not rushing. Not overpowering. Just guiding. Ji-hoon opened the door. The room was dim, illuminated only by city lights beyond the glass. Rain streaked down the windows like liquid silver. As they stepped inside, Ji-hoon closed the door quietly behind them. The storm outside continued. But inside, the tension broke. Not into chaos. Into surrender. The twins did not overwhelm her. They explored her carefully. Learned her reactions. Watched her expressions like she was something rare and irreplaceable. And when she finally gasped, not in fear, not in pain, but in pure, overwhelming sensation. Ji-Tai's voice was a low murmur against her skin. We told you. Ji-hoon's lips curved near her ear. We'd make you scream. And when she did, it wasn't because she was conquered. It was because she chose to be. Later, as thunder softened into distant rumbling, Alora lay between them, breath slowing, heart still racing. Ji-hoon's fingers traced lazy patterns along her arm. Ji-Tai's palm rested at her waist protectively. No urgency now. No storm. Just warmth. For the first time since arriving in Seoul. She didn't feel like a strategic alliance. She didn't feel like leverage. She felt wanted. And the Kang twins, rulers of empires, destroyers of enemies, had never looked more undone. The storm had passed. But something far more dangerous had begun. Attachment. Morning arrived softly. No thunder. No lightning. Just golden sunlight spilling across silk sheets and bare skin. Alora woke slowly, disoriented at first. Then aware. Warmth on both sides. Breathing, deep, steady, masculine. Ji-hoon lay to her left, one arm beneath her pillow, fingers loosely resting near her shoulder. Ji-Tai lay to her right, his hand splayed protectively over her waist even in sleep. She didn't feel trapped. She felt anchored. And that realization was more terrifying than anything else. She shifted slightly. Both men stirred instantly. Warriors. Even in rest. Ji-Tai's eyes opened first, sharp for half a second before softening when he saw her awake. You're okay? He asked quietly. It wasn't about last night. It was about her. Yes, she whispered. Ji-hoon blinked awake next, studying her face carefully. No regrets. The question carried weight. Powerful men did not ask twice. Alora sat up slowly, drawing the silk sheet around herself. Sunlight kissed her skin, illuminating faint marks, evidence of intensity, not harm. "I told you I chose this," she replied. Ji-hoon propped himself on one elbow. "And this morning?" She held his gaze. "I choose it again." Something shifted in his expression, something unguarded. Ji-tae exhaled slowly, as if releasing tension he had held all night. They dressed later in comfortable silence, but the air had changed. Less tension, more gravity. In the private sitting room adjacent to Ji-hoon's suite, breakfast was delivered and dismissed quickly. No staff lingered. This was not a public morning. Ji-hoon poured coffee for her personally. Ji-tae slid a plate closer without a word. The domestic simplicity felt surreal considering who they were. Alora broke the silence. "Last night wasn't about proving something, was it?" Ji-hoon's jaw tightened slightly. "No." Ji-tae answered more directly. "It was about waiting until you were ready." She studied them both. "You would have kept waiting." "Yes," Ji-hoon said without hesitation. "Even if it cost them. Even if it burned." That truth settled deep in her chest. Alora leaned back in her chair. "You're both used to control." Ji-hoon's lips curved faintly. "That's an understatement." "But you gave it up last night." Silence. Ji-tae watched her carefully. "You had the power," she continued. "Not because you're stronger. Not because you're feared." Her voice softened. "Because you waited." Ji-hoon's gaze darkened, not with dominance. With realization. Power wasn't just force. It was restraint. Ji-tae spoke quietly. "We don't want obedience." Alora's brow lifted slightly. "What do you want?" Both men answered at the same time. "You." The word didn't mean possession now. It meant partnership. The moment might have remained steady, controlled, if not for what Ji-hoon said next. "You understand this makes you our greatest vulnerability." There it was. The truth no one romanticizes. She folded her hands on the table. "And that frightens you?" Ji-tae's eyes flickered. "Yes." Honesty. Raw. Unfiltered. Ji-hoon looked away briefly, toward the window overlooking the Han River. "In our world, love is leverage." The word again. Leverage. But this time it didn't sting. It clarified. "If someone wants to hurt us," Ji-tae added quietly, "they'll aim for you." Alora absorbed that. She had known it. But hearing it aloud changed the weight of it. "And if someone tries?" she asked. Ji-hoon's expression hardened, the Mafia boss returning. "They won't try twice." She stood slowly. Both men instinctively rose with her. "Then I need something," she said calmly. Ji-hoon's gaze sharpened. "Name it." "I'm not going to sit behind glass while you fight wars." Ji-tae's brows drew together slightly. "You want involvement." "I want awareness," she corrected. "Training. Information. Not protection that keeps me blind." Silence. Evaluating silence. Ji-hoon studied her like he did in boardrooms, calculating risk. Ji-tae studied her like he did in battle, measuring strength. "You're serious," Ji-tae said. "Yes." Ji-hoon stepped closer. "You realize what that means?" "It means," she replied evenly, "if I'm your weakness, then make me your strength." That did it. Ji-tae's lips curved slightly, impressed. Ji-hoon's eyes gleamed. There it was again. That look they gave her when she surprised them. Predatory admiration. Ji-hoon extended his hand. "Equal, then." She hesitated only half a second before placing her hand in his. Ji-tae covered both their hands with his own. "Aligned," he corrected. A silent pact formed. Not just lovers. Not just spouses. Partners in an empire built on steel and strategy. Later, when Ji-hoon left for a board meeting, Ji-tae lingered. Alora stood near the balcony doors, sunlight wrapping around her silhouette. Ji-tae approached quietly. "You were brave," he said. She smiled faintly. "I was honest." His hand reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The gesture was gentle. Almost shy. "You don't know what that does to us," he murmured. "What?" "Makes us want to give you everything." Her breath softened. "I don't want everything." He stepped closer. "Then what do you want?" She looked up at him, steady, sure. "Respect." His forehead touched hers lightly. "You have it." No theatrics. No storm. Just truth. As Jitai finally stepped away to follow his brother, Alora remained on the balcony alone. The city stretched endlessly before her. Somewhere out there were enemies, rivals, opportunists. And now they knew something dangerous. The Kang twins loved their wife. And love, in their world, was blood in the water. But Alora wasn't prey. She was evolving. The storm had awakened something in all three of them. And the next time someone tested the Kang Empire, they wouldn't find a sheltered bride. They would find a queen in training. The estate no longer felt like a gilded cage. It felt like a fortress. And Alora was no longer simply inside it. She was learning its architecture. 3 days after their agreement, Jitai met her in the private training wing beneath the estate. Concrete floors. Soundproof walls. Weapons lockers coded by biometric lock. This wasn't symbolic training. This was real. Jitai handed her a pair of black gloves. Again, he said. She adjusted her stance, remembering what he taught her before. Balance first, power second. Her punch hit the pad harder this time. Jitai nodded once. Better. Across the room, Ji-hoon observed from a glass partition overlooking the space. Suit jacket off. Sleeves rolled. Phone pressed to his ear as he finalized a shipping deal worth millions. He was conducting empire-level business. While watching his wife train, Alora noticed. Does he always multitask like that? She asked between strikes. Jitai's mouth twitched faintly. He doesn't trust easily. And you? He stepped closer, adjusting her elbow angle with firm precision. I trust results. She smirked slightly. Then watch. Her next strike snapped the pad backward. Jitai's hand shot out instinctively to steady her waist. Heat flared between them. But neither stepped back immediately. Later that evening, the three of them reviewed security briefings in Ji-hoon's private office. Screens displayed satellite feeds, financial charts, movement patterns. Ji-hoon pointed to a highlighted name. Lee Min-suk, former associate of Chairman Park. Alora's pulse shifted. He blames you, Jitai said calmly. For words, she asked. For humiliation, Ji-hoon corrected. Men like him mistake consequence for insult. Alora leaned forward, studying the data. He's not attacking directly, she observed. He's watching. Ji-hoon's gaze sharpened. You see it. Jitai folded his arms. He's probing for weakness. Silence stretched. Alora met both their eyes. Then stopped reacting. They stilled. Ji-hoon's brow lifted slightly. Explain. Let him think I'm unguarded, she said evenly. Public appearance. Predictable route. Make him comfortable. Jitai's jaw tightened. That's bait. Yes. No, Jitai said immediately. Ji-hoon remained quiet, calculating. Alora held her ground. You said I'm leverage. Fine. Then let's control how I'm leveraged. The air thickened. This wasn't flirtation. This was war strategy. Jitai stepped closer. You're asking us to risk you. I'm asking you to trust me. That landed harder than any punch she'd thrown earlier. For the first time since her arrival, the twins disagreed openly. Jitai's voice lowered. Dangerous. She's not a chess piece. Ji-hoon's tone remained cool. She's proposing strategy. She's my wife, Jitai snapped. She's ours, Ji-hoon corrected sharply. The tension between them sparked, not jealousy. Fear. Alora stepped between them. I'm right here. Both men fell silent instantly. She looked at Jitai first. I won't be hidden. Then at Ji-hoon. And I won't be reckless. She took a breath. You promised equal. The word echoed. Equal. Ji-hoon studied her face, searching for doubt. Finding none. Jitai's hands flexed at his sides. Finally, Ji-hoon spoke. We'll adjust security. Hidden perimeter. Surveillance grid expanded. Jitai exhaled slowly. I stay within 10 meters of you. Alora nodded. Agreed. The first strategic decision of their alliance had been made. That night, Ji-hoon found her alone on the balcony again. Seoul shimmered below, beautiful, dangerous. You changed us, he said quietly. She didn't turn. How? We used to eliminate threats before they breathed. And now? Now we hesitate. She faced him fully. Because of me. Yes. The honesty in his voice carried no resentment. Only recognition. She stepped closer. Is that weakness? His gaze darkened thoughtfully. No. His hand lifted, brushing gently along her jawline. It's something worse. Her breath caught. What? Attachment. The word lingered. Jitai joined the moments later, silent as always. He didn't interrupt. He simply placed his hand at the small of her back. A grounding presence. I won't break, she said softly. Jitai's thumb traced a slow circle against her spine. We know. Ji-hoon added. That's what terrifies us. 2 nights later, during a carefully planned charity luncheon, the predictable event. It happened. A black SUV ran a red light. Too fast. Too deliberate. Jitai reacted first, pulling her backward just as a second vehicle attempted to block their motorcade. Gunfire shattered glass. Screams erupted. Chaos. But the Kang security detail responded instantly. Within 30 seconds, it was over. The attackers fled, one captured. Alora's heart pounded violently against Jitai's chest as he shielded her body with his own. Ji-hoon's expression was ice when he approached. Are you hurt? She shook her head. No. But her hands trembled slightly. Jitai noticed immediately. He lifted her chin gently. You see now. It wasn't accusation. It was reality. She met his gaze, steady despite the adrenaline. I see that he's afraid. Ji-hoon's brow furrowed slightly. Of what? Of us being aligned. Silence. Because she was right. This wasn't a test of vulnerability. It was a test of unity. And they had passed. Back at the estate, security doubled. The captured attacker spoke quickly. Lee Minute-suk had ordered the intimidation. Not assassination. A warning. Ji-hoon stood in his office reviewing footage. Jitai stood beside him, jaw clenched. Alora entered quietly. No retaliation, she said. Both men turned slowly. Jitai's voice was low. He fired at you. He missed, she replied. Ji-hoon studied her carefully. You're thinking long-term. Yes. She stepped closer. If we destroy him now, we confirm fear. If we let him sit in uncertainty. Jitai's eyes narrowed slightly. He'll unravel. She nodded. And make a bigger mistake. Silence filled the room. Then Ji-hoon smiled faintly. Predatory. Impressed. Our queen in training, he murmured. Jitai stepped close behind her, arms sliding around her waist, protective, proud. Aligned, he said softly. That night, as she lay between them again, Alora understood something undeniable. She had stepped into a world built on dominance. But she was reshaping it. Not softening it. Refining it. The twins were still lethal. Still feared. Still capable of destruction. But now, they fought smarter. Because they fought together. And somewhere in the city, Lee Minute-suk had no idea. His warning had awakened something far more dangerous than revenge. It had awakened strategy. And Alora was no longer just their protected bride. She was becoming the mind beside the throne. Lee Minute-suk made one fatal mistake. He believed restraint meant mercy. It didn't. It meant preparation. For 2 weeks after the attempted ambush, the Kang Empire did nothing publicly. No counterattacks. No financial sabotage. No disappearances. News outlets moved on. Rival syndicates relaxed. Lee Minute-suk interpreted the quiet as fear. That was his second mistake. Inside the Kang estate, however, the air had changed. Security tightened. Routes altered. Meetings moved underground. And Alora was no longer shielded from strategy sessions. She sat at the long obsidian conference table beside the twins, reviewing intelligence reports projected across the wall. Ji-hoon circled a shipping route with a laser pointer. Minute-suk rerouted 3 containers through Busan undershell corporations. Jitai added calmly, his moving assets offshore. Alora leaned forward. His preparing to run. Ji-hoon glanced at her, impressed by how quickly she read the pattern. No, she corrected softly. His preparing for retaliation. He thinks it's coming. Jitai's jaw tightened. It is. She turned toward him. Yes. But not the way he expects. The room fell quiet. Executives watched her carefully now. Not as the wife. As the strategist. The break didn't come from outside. It came from inside the estate. A junior security analyst, young, overlooked, quiet, was caught copying internal movement logs. Ji-Tai discovered it personally. The interrogation room beneath the estate was cold concrete and stainless steel. The analyst trembled under Ji-Tai's steady gaze. "I didn't know it was him," the man stammered. "He paid me to leak schedules. I thought it was corporate competition." Ji-Tai's voice was soft. "You sold my wife's location." The man broke down instantly. Ji-hoon stood behind the glass observation wall, expression unreadable. Alora stood beside him. Watching. Learning. "Does it bother you?" Ji-hoon asked quietly. She didn't look away from the scene. "Yes." His brow shifted slightly. "But not because he'll be punished," she added. "Because he was careless." Ji-hoon's gaze moved to her slowly. Careless. Not cruel. Not evil. Just incompetent. Ji-hoon studied her profile. "You're adapting faster than we expected." Her voice lowered. "You built an empire. I'm building survival." Behind the glass, Ji-Tai stepped closer to the analyst. "You chose the wrong employer." The man was removed quietly. No headlines. No scandal. Just absence. That night, tension simmered between the twins. Ji-Tai was quieter than usual. Ji-hoon more analytical. Alora sensed it immediately. In their private lounge, she poured herself wine and waited. Ji-Tai spoke first. "I should have caught the leak sooner." Ji-hoon didn't argue. "That's not entirely your division." Ji-Tai's jaw flexed. "It involved her." Ah, there it was. Not professional failure. Personal. Alora stepped between them slowly. "I wasn't harmed." "That's not the point," Ji-Tai replied. "It is," she said firmly. "You can't punish yourself for a war that hasn't been lost." Ji-hoon watched her carefully. "You're not angry?" he asked. "I am," she said calmly. "But anger without precision is weakness." The twins exchanged a look. That same look from the beginning. Recognition. She was thinking like them now. 3 nights later, Lee Minute-suk received an anonymous offer. A meeting. Private. Discreet. Financially beneficial. He accepted immediately. That was his third mistake. The meeting location was an abandoned dock warehouse near Incheon port. Rain misted the harbor. Cargo cranes loomed like skeletal giants against the gray sky. Lee arrived with armed men. He did not expect to see Alora step out of the black sedan. Alone. He smirked. "Bold," he said, approaching slowly. "Sending the wife." Her heels echoed against wet concrete as she stepped forward. "No," she replied evenly. "Receiving you." The warehouse lights flickered on. And the Kang twins emerged from the shadows behind him. Ji-hoon adjusted his cufflinks calmly. Ji-Tai's expression was lethal stillness. Lee's men shifted nervously. "You," Lee began. Ji-hoon interrupted smoothly. "You fired at my wife." Ji-Tai added quietly. "You leaked her location." Lee forced a laugh. "She's leverage. Everyone knows that." Alora stepped closer. "Wrong." His smirk faltered. "She's alignment," Ji-hoon corrected. "She's consequence," Ji-Tai finished. Gunfire didn't erupt. There was no dramatic shootout. Because Lee's men lowered their weapons first. The Kang name carried weight. And fear travels faster than loyalty. Lee staggered back. "You won't kill me," he said shakily. "It'll start a war." Ji-hoon smiled faintly. "No." Ji-Tai stepped closer. "It will end one." What happened next wasn't public. It wasn't messy. It was decisive. Lee Minute-suk disappeared from the criminal grid entirely within 48 hours. His accounts frozen. His allies silent. His territory absorbed. Not chaos. Erasure. Back at the estate, Alora stood on the balcony overlooking Seoul. The city lights shimmered beneath the night sky. Ji-hoon approached from her left. Ji-Tai from her right. Perfect symmetry. "It's done," Ji-hoon said. She nodded. "I know." Ji-Tai studied her profile carefully. "No guilt." She considered it honestly. "No." The wind lifted her hair gently. "I warned him." Ji-hoon's lips curved faintly. "Yes." "You did." Ji-Tai's hand rested at her waist, firm, protective. "You stood in front of him without fear." She turned slightly. "I wasn't alone." Silence wrapped around the three of them. Then Ji-hoon spoke quietly. "They won't test you again." Ji-Tai's voice lowered. "They'll fear you." Alora looked out at the empire stretching beneath them. No, she corrected softly. They'll respect me. The twins exchanged another look. Not predatory this time. Proud. Because something irreversible had happened. Alora wasn't just protected anymore. She had stood in the storm. Faced the enemy. Watched him fall. And she hadn't flinched. Later that night, in the quiet intimacy of their private quarters, Jitai traced his fingers slowly along her spine. You changed the outcome, he murmured. Ji-hoon brushed a kiss against her temple. You changed us. She closed her eyes briefly. No, she whispered. I joined you. And that was the truth. This wasn't a woman swallowed by power. This was a woman shaping it. The Kang Empire had always been feared. Now it was balanced. Steel and strategy. Fire and restraint. 2 kings. And a queen who no longer needed protection to command the room. But somewhere deep in the underworld, whispers had already begun again. The Kang twins were no longer the most dangerous force in Seoul. They were aligned. And alignment is unstoppable.